Welcome to the Dr. Dare Show. My name is Dr. Frederick Dare. I am a therapist here in Atlanta, Georgia, and welcome to my channel. But before we get started, make sure that you subscribe to my YouTube channel, like this video, share it, and click the little bell at the bottom of the screen so that you will get updates of when I upload new content. Hope everybody is staying safe, still continuing to social distance, whether you're going out or staying in. And so today we're covering a mental health topic. And the term is called perfectly hidden depression. It's a term that was created by Margaret Robinson Rutherford. My life group is reading this book, and I wanted to share from this perspective of what I thought perfectly hidden depression is. And so what I see when I think of perfectly hidden depression, I think of the actor and comedian Robin Williams. Robin Williams was for us, in our eyes, so happy all the time. A comedian. I think of Miss Doubtfire when he's playing he's playing a maid, and it's just so funny, and he's always smiling, and you would think he was very successful and probably wealthy, and then he commits suicide. To me, that is perfectly hidden depression. Perfectly hidden depression, from my definition, is that, okay, you have to be perfect and beautiful and nice and everything's looking perfect for everybody else, but deep down inside there's some stuff going on. There's some history of molestation and rape and alcoholism and sexual abuse, and those things are called trauma, right? And so I wanted to define trauma because we're always using that word and not really putting a meaning to it. So the American Psychological Association defines trauma as it is an emotional response to a terrible event. You hear that? Emotional response to a terrible event like an accident or rape or a natural disaster, kind of the things we just named. Immediately after the event, there's usually shock or denial. That's usually our response to that. But then there's some long-term reactions to trauma. And listen to these, because these are very important. They're very important, sorry. Unpredictable emotions. Just emotions out of nowhere. You don't know why you're having these emotions. Then there's flashbacks. Flashbacks to the trauma. Then you have strained relationships. Strained relationships. And then there's some physical symptoms that come with them, like headaches and nausea. And then some people just have difficulty in moving on with their lives when they have suffered some kind of trauma. And so if trauma is not dealt with, processed, if you just kind of ignore it and stick it to the back of your mind, kind of like perfectly hidden depression, it comes back later in life, and it impacts your life, and you don't even know why. And so let me give you a story to kind of help you understand what I mean. So there's this little girl, her name is Sally. She's 8 years old. She's roaming through her neighborhood, right? And 8 years old, and runs into a man in the neighborhood that everybody knows in the neighborhood. Well, he rapes Sally at 8 years old, and he tells her if she tells anybody that he's gonna hurt her family. So Sally goes home, doesn't tell anybody. She's very upset about this trauma. She just ignores it. She puts it in the back of her mind. She goes on to junior high school and into high school. She's successful in her grades. And she goes to college. She graduates. She starts her own career, becomes the CEO of her own career. She meets this guy. Not really dating a lot, just not really into guys up until this point. And so she meets this guy. She dates him for a while. They get married, right? But then there's intimacy problems. He feels that Sally is not connected when they're intimate, or any type of romantic gestures are just limited from Sally. She doesn't feel it, and she's not connected with the emotional aspect of a relationship. Everything else, though, in her life is going well. Successful CEO of her own company, just basically living life. And you would think Sally had it going on, is what we say, right? Or am I telling my age right there? But anyway, Sally is an example of perfectly hidden depression. So what happens as Sally's marriage progresses, the husband is starting to not like the situation and ask for a divorce. Sally doesn't understand. You know, she's thinking things are well, but what she doesn't realize is there's days she's so depressed, there's days she's very moody, and everybody's like, what is wrong with Sally, you know? But they kind of overlook it because she's going to put her best foot forward every time. In every meeting, she's running her company every time. So some people see it, some people don't. But the husband sees it because he's not, you know, getting the emotional response that he wants from her. So he divorces her. So that's when Sally decides to seek a therapist. And the therapist lets her know, hey, was there any kind of trauma or anything that you... No trauma. Nothing. I mean, I had a situation when I was little, but that's been so long ago. How could that come back and impact my life? But people, it does. And I know a lot of people don't like to see therapists and feel like their therapy is probably not good for them. But perfectly hidden depression is real. Look at Robin Williams. You never would have thought he committed suicide. I don't know all the details of his life, but something was going on, obviously, because you took your own life. And there's so many consequences of perfectly hidden depression because you're not really sharing, you know, what's going on in your life. And one thing that Rutherford says in her book is that to be vulnerable or to have a true connection with people around you, you have to be vulnerable and have to be open and kind of telling everybody what's going on with you. Or not everybody, but somebody. And Sally, in her situation, she didn't tell anybody this happened. She just pushed it to the back of her mind. And the way she handled it was avoidance. And she, every time it would come on, that negative talk would come on in her brain, she would shut it off. And Rutherford kind of talks about that. She gives 10 characteristics of perfectly hidden depression, and that's what it is. So if you recognize yourself with any of these traits of being depressed or feeling depressed, or you've lost interest in activities that you used to like, or you know, you feel like, you know, I don't know what to do, I'm just not happy, I don't know how to explain this feeling, you probably need to talk to a therapist. And I do recommend you get this book along with going to see a therapist, because this is like a self-help book, but you need a therapist to help you uncover some of the trauma, if trauma existed in your life, because it's not going to go anywhere. You can try to avoid it like Robin Williams. You can try to push past it. And Anthony Bourdain is another one. He's a cook or chef that used to travel to different countries, and he committed suicide as well. And you would have thought wealthy or on TV, you know, but everything is not what it looks like from the outside, you know. And a lot of people put their best foot forward every day just to look good, just to be perfect, just to be not causing any issues, and just to hide what is deep beneath them. And so if that's you and you're resonating with this, please go seek a therapist. Please talk to somebody. Please invest in this book, because maybe it will help you make these next steps to go see a professional therapist or counselor or psychiatrist or whichever one. And I do not know Margaret Rutherford. I just saw this book, I kind of resonated with it, because, you know, I'm so busy, you pack so much stuff into your life, and then you never truly look at what's going on. Like mine was anxiety, and it popped up in my life probably like 4 or 5 years ago now. And I realized where mine came from when I was growing up. I always was teased, and that to me was a trauma for me, because trauma is whatever you feel like trauma is. And So every time I'm around people, I'm anxious because I'm like, are they judging me? Are they looking at me this way? Are they, oh, have I gained weight? Have I lost weight? And, you know, and I've always had weight issues. I go up and down, up and down, and up and down. And so part of that is anxiety coming in there and, you know, taking a hold. But I realized where mine came from growing up, always being teased. And that impacts your life. Whether you, as a child, you don't know what to do with it, right? And so I just wanted to create this video. I do have a book club, and we're all reading this book. We haven't had a chance to get together to talk about it yet, but I will share this video in that group as well. But perfectly hidden depression is a thing. It's not a diagnosis, as Rutherford says. It's a syndrome. It's kind of a set of characteristics that you know, impact your life. And so this is Dr. Dare. I'm signing out. I hope everybody stays safe. They continue to social distance and be vigilant on that and remain safe. Stay away from other people's houses. Check out all my other videos on anxiety, depression, on interviews about COVID-19 with essential workers. There's a bunch of stuff out there. I'm here to help you. Send me a message if you need references on a therapist. I can help you on that. And thank you, and have a blessed week.